to forget that life's a game, but shit, I did it too, no, we all to blame. But it's never been the same since I learned the rules, since I got the tools and I dropped the fools. I saw the snakes and fakes and the hate that they make, the pain that they take, I just pray they awake. We may play the same game, but we do by different rules. Got a few I choose to follow, but my motto is the truth. Through the movement, commandments, solutions to the madness. My motive is decoding life's laws like mathematics. Found the blueprint schematic, showed me flow is automatic. Spit romantic semantics and then get back at it. Gotta have it. That's the first thing I found out. Why drop the clowns out and show them what...
So as we're coming back here, we're going to be starting part 2. However, I want to take a second to begin a discussion just to kind of reflect on what we thought of that last episode concerning D'Antwoord and LJ as kind of the more rough around the edges of the artists we're going to talk about, like incorporating no comedic element, very much talking about their dark upbringing, like really not sugarcoating anything, which is kind of a contrast to Little Big and Tommy Cash that we're going to be going into now, which are incorporating an element of humor. So I just wanted to take a second. Is there anything you guys were thinking of from that episode?
That was heavy. That was rough.
Yeah, definitely was heavy. It was heavy even to talk about, because I even talked about my own personal reasons of why I connected with this, kind of having my own troubled upbringing. And even I talked about yours too.
Yes, I'm relieved that now it's done and it's out there, somewhere in the sound speeds.
Somewhere in the sound speeds. So speaking of catchphrases, what's happening, Big Mac Truck?
I think it was a good baseline for this next part that we are about to go into.
Because we have a lot more shared ground on this next part.
Yeah,
because these are artists that are accessible to you as an average American.
Yeah, the first two I mean I've
because they're
listened to them,
specialty.
but
Yeah, it's like because you don't speak Russian and LJ does not record in English, and
Right.
D'Antwoord is like, I don't know. Like I said, if it wasn't for that particular South African girl that taught me about what they come from, I don't think I would understand it. Like it's not super accessible.
Yeah, but I think as we go into these next few,
Yeah, I mean,
It'll
I think we all
definitely
love
be
Tommy Cash.
Yeah.
Well, that's jumping too much ahead. Joe, do you have any thoughts, like kind of speaking for the audience in terms of anything that might not be clear? Because me and Leo kind of get into our flow here where we start saying Russian words and shit that really him and I get, but might not really be obvious.
I mean, that always goes over people's heads. Well, I would say the words in Russian, but I don't know how to pronounce them to say it right now. Like a mutt? Is that what you said? Mutt?
Oh yeah, like
Like
mat.
Mat.
Well, that
Mat.
comes from the phrase "yob tvoyu mать," which is like the original curse, which is like a what did they say originally? Like a goat fucked your mother. There used to be another word on front of it. Well, it means I fucked your mother.
No,
but
it's a fuck your mother. You up 20 much.
I don't know. When
Like,
I looked into the ancient etymology, I remember there was like another ancient word for like a dog, like.
But you do these
Well, anyways,
things,
you know this.
You do these things it's kind of funny, but I told you I don't really like I know how to spell things and write things, and I know how to speak the language, but I don't like know the specifics or the grammar rules. And it's kind of funny because I'm a native Russian speaker, whereas you know more about the language in some perspective.
Because that's the way my brain works, but genuinely it's hard for me to understand. So like I looked up like the ancient articles of like what Yob Tvayomat came from, and there used to be another word before Yob that was like some old word for a stray dog. So it used the original insult was some stray dog fucked your mother, meaning you don't know your father.
I don't know these specifics. It's like the word blood, meaning unfaithful woman. It
just means bad. Like I don't know.
It's just something that I wasn't supposed to say as a kid.
But
so
exactly, dude, and that's what it is for me. But the difference is I don't know the connotation, and I've already had situations in Russia where I say some shit that I shouldn't have said. And let me tell you, you feel that. Like, the whole room gets uncomfortable. And you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to go home and look up what I just said.
It's heavy. Definitely in Russia and some other European countries, the swearing is much more...
primitive. Like, it's animalistic.
Right.
Like, I do want to take a second. There was a really interesting lecture I heard from Jordan Peterson talking about how... if you look at brain scans of people while they're speaking versus while they're cursing, curse words actually activate the limbic system, or the fight or flight response, meaning the primitive part of the brain. And if you look at how it evolved, you actually find that in humans, the activation mirrors the activation in primates when they make a predator call, meaning the same brain region is active in humans as is active in monkeys when they make the snake call, meaning predator, snake, get off the ground. That same brain region is activated when we say fuck or bastard. We're basically giving a predatory alarm call.
I'm a caveman.
It's my favorite thing about you.
Yeah, because if you're like Leo's case, if you were walking in the grocery store and you just hear someone yell, fuck, like you're going to turn around and be like, what's going on
what's
over
up?
there? Yeah.
Yeah, that it draws your attention, and that's maybe why we have such a connotation to these words, because it cuts very deep to a human being, and that it actually is reflected in the brain regions, that it touches a brain region that normal speech does not.
Well, and for how little you would use a curse word, or it's not an everyday conversation when someone says like fuck, shit.
Oh yeah. Except for people kind of our generation or of our class, I guess. Like we are much more open to being classless in terms of like, I'll say fuck anytime if it feels appropriate. If it communicates something I need, I'm going to say fuck.
I think it also depends on the environment you're in. Like
True.
right now we're just sitting, we're chilling. You don't really like.
Yeah, that's true. But in a job interview, it does. It puts people judge you based on having no class.
And though in my case, I would like to say that there's a cameraman that's sitting in this room right now and videotaping us, and I've been doing these tryouts for to get in on the Trailer Park Boys. So yeah, I pretty regularly have a cameraman follow me around.
So that's what that is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He'll give us royalties someday.
Yeah,
I swear to God,
this
zooms
is
in on
Gary.
my crotch.
What's up, Gary?
Gary the cameraman. He's been
Gary
here
the
the whole
cameraman.
time, by the way.
Oh yeah, just this episode. I thought there was a guy standing in the corner on the last one. It made me a little uncomfortable.
Fucking Jeff.
Oh, not again.
To
let's not just hate on Jeff.
To
all
kind of
episode.
bring us all back. So, but what you're saying in Russia is that even in this type of environment where we're all just like sitting around, even if they would use one of those words, it would still be like a whoa. What did you do? Like kind of like what?
It's definitely a different connotation. Like there's certain people that end every sentence with beled, where it'd be like, Tyler, how you doing today, beled? Like that shirt's really nice, beled. Like it's just they talk like that. And it has that connotation of dirtiness.
Right.
Where in the U.S., there are some curses that I think that's the biggest difference. In English, there are some curses that you can get away with, like saying bloody hell probably is fine. But there are very few curses in Russian that are still curses that you can get away with saying.
I think
like,
that's more Australian, isn't it? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, is that
British.
That's British.
That's British.
But
yeah.
it's still the English
Yeah,
language. Like we have curses that aren't that offensive. But Russian, pretty much all their major curses are, even the lightest ones are pretty offensive.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a connection here, Avery. How many people, when you traveled to Russia, how many people did you see wearing like sweatpants or just wearing random clothes on the streets?
Nobody.
How was everybody dressed?
At the very least, casual or business casual. Like, well, it depends. If you see them in their home, they may be a little bit more loose. But even on the street, the most casual you ever see is a tracksuit.
In public, yes. Everybody looked
Oh,
nice.
yeah. And especially in the major cities, well, people just look at you a different way.
Mhm.
Appearance is very important in Russia because it communicates status.
In the same way the manner of speaking is. And I think that relates to it.
Oh, cool. I actually had never connected it like that.
Yeah.
It's true, though. You'd never see somebody in a business suit cursing.
What are the chances of somebody wearing a tracksuit?
Oh, all the time. Well,
Cursing.
but those are usually the gopniks. Oh, interesting, though. So maybe the people who are, because a tracksuit's pretty casual, that is associated with the lower rung of society. Maybe that's
Could
why
be.
those motherfuckers talk to me.
Could be.
But that's a good point, that everything you do, whether it's
Mannerisms.
how you posture yourself in the world, communicates a lot about you. whether it's how you speak, whether it's how you dress, just how you hold yourself, it does communicate a lot.
Definitely, and it's just more noticed, I think, in some parts of Europe or
When there's a lot bigger stratification of the classes.
yeah, exactly.
Because the one thing I knew about Russians is they love their krossovki, like their sneakers. Oh my God, man or woman, sneakers are a sign of status because you keep those clean and you show off.
See, have you ever gotten drunk and wore a bathrobe and had your buddy drive you to Best Buy when you've been obliterated? Probably can't really get away with that in Russia. Kind of hard. But
I mean,
Madison,
you'd get
Wisconsin.
harassed.
Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh my God, if I had a nickel for every time I saw somebody wear sweatpants to class at the university, I would have paid my tuition. Like, it's kind of sloppiness. But that comes from the opulence of having wealth. The feeling that, oh, I have money, I don't have to have whatever.
I told you that I had a tailored suit when I was in first grade, right? When I started first grade.
I always forget
We didn't have shit, but I had a tailored suit.
You
made
had
for
one-
me. It
one
was
tailored suit.
One tailored suit, man. You wore that shit 5 days a week.
Well, no,
And then,
you said even your mother made it from the raw fabric.
yeah.
She didn't buy that shit off the rack.
Yeah, whoever, your family member, your mother, somebody just tailored you a suit, and you wore that till it really wore out. I mean, you had to take care of that.
And if it gets a hole, you
right.
patch it.
Yep, you patch it.
Yeah, like if you get in a fight at school, that hole's getting, like, that's a big deal when you come home with that. It's not just, like, if you think in The Sopranos, when he gets his shirt ripped, his mother, like, makes him do some work for it to teach him the value of money. In the place where you came up, you never needed to learn the value of money. It was obvious. Money was food.
Yeah, and when you get bigger, you just until you get bigger, that's when you get a new suit. But then you pass that suit down to your cousin or whoever gets sold to somebody.
That's funny that
And
you
then-
say cousin, though, because that's another note that I found in Russia and any kind of up-and-coming third world country, that generally it's only children because school costs a lot. Like, children are expensive. Did you find that in Ukraine as well? I just saw that a lot in Russia, where it's a lot of only children because it's expensive to put multiple kids through school. Like, is it common that you would be an only child?
Oh yeah. Being
It would
the
be
only-
the norm, right?
Oh, exactly. That
No big families.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Most people would have 2 kids at the most.
Especially going through Soviet times, that's a lot of food. Like,
yeah,
you got to be
I
pretty
was
well
the
off.
only child, and there were many other kids that were only kids.
Yeah, I think that's something that not a lot of people in the U.S. would even think about, that it's kind of a luxury to have brothers and sisters. Because for me, I'm an only child too. Probably not for the same reasons, but kind of. But I always wanted brothers and sisters. That's, in a way, a luxury.
Huge.
Shit.
You're encouraged, though, to have more kids now.
Oh, God. Yeah, in the U.S. But we get a lot more resources to spend. Like, how about you just don't get fat and you can have 2 more kids? That's a deal we can make.
Or for you Mormons, man, those Mormons love to pump out those babies.
Oh, man, it helps when you got 3 wives. Then you can have 3 going at once. No cooldowns. Oh, God.
Oh man.
Well, we're clearly getting into the humor aspect. I say we jump towards Little Big and Tommy Cash. I really like this section too, because we, just before starting this episode, we were already getting into the mentality of Tommy Cash and Little Big, which is why we had to switch gears to the seriousness of D'Antwoord and LJ. So talking Little Big, man, I always have this weird feeling that I don't know how I encountered these things, because nowadays people send me videos and they're like, oh, Avery, you speak Russian. Here's the Russian things that are coming up in the media. And it's all either I've seen that or I have some connection to it. And it really tweaks me out because it's kind of like serendipitous. It's not necessarily something I would have expected, but there's always a connection I have to these things. A big one was going to VK Fest and seeing Little Big for the first time. I didn't really like them. Like, sure, they were high energy and it seemed like kind of the teens, like the 20-somethings kind of liked them, but it seemed a little bit, I don't know, it seemed for a different demographic than me. But I caught Little Big after they had gone through an image change. So let's back up a little bit. Originally, Little Big got pretty big for... They were called... I don't know. I don't even like saying this because this is a total misunderstanding. They were called the Russian D'Antwoord, as they made their first major appearance opening for D'Antwoord in St. Petersburg. Jesus Christ. In St. Petersburg. I was trying to remember the name of the club. I think it's A2. A2, the club in St. Petersburg. Some hip name like that. They made their first performance, like literally their first public appearance, opening for Die Antwoord. And that was around the time that they literally had released one song, Every Day I'm Drinking. Leo, do you have anything? Let's take a second. Let's talk about Every Day I'm Drinking, because that really set the stage for Old Little Big and what their image was.
That is a rather controversial song. It is crazy. I'd recommend people check it out. I can't even begin to describe the experience of that. But definitely the connotation, the sense that I get off of it, it's very like kind of bleak and depressing, but at the same time, just get drunk and forget about it.
Yeah, and even this is a cool thing, because when I first encountered Little Big, I really didn't get them until I came back to the US and I introduced Leo to them. And he blew my mind on realizing what they were trying to communicate. For example, in Every Day I'm Drinking, the major lyric is no future, no rich. This is Russia, bitch. So I didn't really connect with that until you told me that that's a pervasive feeling in all of the post-Soviet countries, this feeling of no future.
That is a position a lot of younger people have found themselves in after the Soviet Union has fallen apart. All of a sudden there were no options, and the country was stolen. Few people have assumed all the properties. There are literally people that own cities. So a lot of people do have this bleak outlook on life, and hence you have the high rate of suicide. It's what people see. That's why you have a lot of revolts, and the government is very oppressive. Historically, it's killed millions of people, and like when Stalin was in power, it's crazy. It's a crazy place, and I am so glad I am not living, in Russia, because you got to be really fucking tough if you got to survive in Moscow. You got to be really tough. You got to be watching your back, man, 24/7. It's rough. I like to be able to relax and not have to worry about that in the good old cozy Madison, Wisconsin. Even though a bunch of people are total pussies, that's all right.
Well, we had me and you, Avery, we had an earlier conversation a couple months ago about how in Wisconsin we definitely it's not to the extent that Russians have it, but we definitely have the same kind of mentality where the small town, like, I'm just gonna drink because all I do is work my 9 to 5, and then I come home and it's just day in and day out.
Like, I go to the factory and I take care of my family, so I'm going to do whatever it is that I want to do to make my life more tolerable.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go from work to, a lot of people in my home, or not my hometown, but my family's hometown of La Crosse, they go from the factory directly to the bar.
Yep.
And then by the time they get home to their moderately attractive weight-gaining wife as she pops out horrendous kids that you got to deal with, at least you're drunk by the time you get home, and you can just go to sleep and do it all again. And you don't have that feeling of hopelessness.
Right.
Or at least it's numbed by the alcohol.
Right.
Well, I also just want to take a moment and be so happy that Leo's here with us, because especially what we talk about a little bit later in this episode, if Ukraine is number 7 for male suicide, you were really set on a track for a pretty rough life living in Ukraine if your mother had not gotten you out of there. So,
Nonsense.
Serious shout out to her. Leo, you tell me frequently that when you're 70, you're going to start doing heroin. And in Ukraine, you guaranteed would have started at 17.
If you have poppy seeds in your backyard, you would probably be
Leo,
doing
I know
heroin
you
right
very
now.
well. You would be such a happy heroin addict.
We make our own fate.
Goddamn right.
It doesn't matter what your fucking situation in life is. It's your choices and how you choose to feel. I don't care what kind of handicaps you want to pretend that you have. Yeah, you might be missing an arm, so you still have another one, hopefully.
Holy shit, dude. That's powerful, man. That makes me think of the Banana Brain video for Die Antwoord, where when Ninja's playing the character of the Zeph guy, when he gets out of the car, like that souped up car, when he opens the door, you see that he has 2 prosthetic legs. And not Ninja, of course, but the character he's playing has 2 prosthetic legs. Literally, the man has no legs, but he's Zeph as fuck. Like, he's getting the girl, because he doesn't give a shit, because he's living his best life.
He's getting around.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's jump back to Little Big. They're from St. Petersburg, and I'm still kind of talking about this early generation of Little Big, because recently they've gone a lot more commercial. They, I believe it was 2020 that they got nominated to be Russia's contribution to the Eurovision contest. So they really stepped it up in trying to become commercial there. But if we look back at their everyday I'm drinking phase, they were a lot more rough around the edges. Their major style was hardstyle. And Leo, I don't really know how to explain hardstyle to people. It's just like we don't have that in America.
Primarily so. It's very much based on the bass drum that's in the background. It's just that constant beat.
Yeah, just consistent and just
that pretty
like
much
high
defines.
energy.
And then whatever else you want to throw on top of it.
I guess you could say rave music, very much like D'Antwoord, but uniquely hardstyle. That's something kind of coming up in Europe right now is kind of the next wave after house. So it's kind of a new thing.
Heavy bass. I've been, heavy, like fast kind of bass. Tyler or Joe, do you have any experience with hardstyle? Do you know the genre? Germans love that.
Germans love that
Germans
shit.
love hardstyle.
Actually, jumping ahead, but the festival that I went to farther east, I went with a German guy, and he loved hardstyle. That's one of the reasons why we went, because he knew hardstyle. So yeah, Germans love that shit. They have a lot of hardstyle festivals. But you guys, yeah, I imagine you've never heard of it.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't even know what hardstyle.
Yeah,
really
it's pretty new. It's Little Big is the genre. Like if you think in American Russians, this like.
It's just kind of the way that you're describing it kind of sounds like club music.
It's more festival music. It's not really club music. What do you think, Leo? Is it club music? I've never heard it in a club.
I haven't been to enough festivals to know.
It's like those basement clubs where you have those like concrete walls and you can.
Oh shit!
So technically, but more of a it's just hardstyle.
Yeah. And this is where it's relevant to mention one of the other reasons why they got kind of dubbed the Zeph, or the kind of in the Zeph genre, or the Russian D'Antwoord, is that their original members, their two frontrunners, were Ilyich Pushkin, which is still their frontrunner, but they also had Olympia Ivleva join, who was born with dwarfism and stands at about 4'3". And on a side note, it is uncomfortably hot for somebody of that height. It's some shit. So they really created this image of, like the freaks, or like who gives a fuck who you are. Be cool. Like you can be your best self even if you have handicaps. And that gave them the title of Little Big, being Olympia and Ilyich, little and big. So that's what created their image.
But Ilya's pretty short also.
He's also pretty short.
Which is kind of comical.
It's pretty, especially when you see him standing next to other people. It's like, whoa, okay, Little Big. Like, I see you. Again, they really started as this very similar to D'Antwoord, like rave style. Like, still very heavy hard style, but very much rave, but less techno house than that. And D'Antwoord actually performed their song Every Day I'm Drinking as an intro to one of their concerts when they were performing at a festival in Krasnoyarsk. And Krasnoyarsk is not far from Novosibirsk. It's deep in Siberia. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's a classic Russian city, probably has 1 million people, but nobody's ever heard of it. Probably looking very Soviet too. But D'Antwoord did perform their song, which was a huge shout to them. But as you can tell, I have a little bit of a different feeling about Little Big, because after 2018, after Olympia left the band, they got a couple of new artists to join with them, and they totally changed their image to the mainstream. Leo, do you want to talk a little bit about their newer singles? Like, I think Go Bananas is one of them.
Fuck 2020.
Fuck 20. Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, I enjoyed
they
it.
are also really good, but the difference is it's all in English for sure.
Right.
And you can tell it's made for American and European consumers rather than for Russians.
What can you do? They've gone mainstream pop, and that's where the money is.
And now they're getting super successful, like tens of millions of views.
Well, and I don't know where to bring this into, and I may have misunderstood this article, but I was just reading one that was saying that they have to submit their music to the Russian government.
Really?
And I'm just curious about how many other Russian artists have to do that.
In
same
my
thing.
opinion, I would say
all
they're.
of them.
Yeah, that's what
Do
I was
you really
thinking
think?
too.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Then why is it that Little Big is so much more overtly commercial? Because my feeling is that
Russia's trying to catch up with the West. They've always been. They're still trying to do so. So
Still,
they're gonna release like it's like cat treats. They're gonna like pop a little cat treat and be like, oh, we're progressive. We're a little bit ahead. Here's a little bit of here's Little Big. Yeah, we're gonna allow them to do like fuck 2020 and hate on Kim Jong.
But like even
Stuff
like the
like that.
rougher stuff, they would let
But-
that go through. Like some of the stuff that Avery's been showing me, it's like
It's grimy.
yeah, it's grimy.
But
As long
I
as
would
they're
say,
in the country, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
dude, look at the Navalny protests, and he just got poisoned. Like Russia will literally, the KGB will find you as long as you're in the area. You have to, get pretty far to get
Yeah.
away from the influence.
But you would agree that there's something specific about Little Big, because in my opinion, the fact that Russia endorsed them as their submission to the Eurovision contest, that sounds to me like they made a certain deal to get huge popularity in exchange for being less green.
Some
grimy.
politicians are getting paid.
Yeah, that's the feeling that I get with Little Big, because you can tell the moment they did that, their popularity exploded versus what
yeah.
it originally was.
Yeah, it's still a huge culture of oppression in terms of the entertainment,
artistry.
yeah, the
Yeah.
art industry.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, that's, of course, all of it has to go through the government because, well, it's still the aristocracy of pull. Like, it's just, you need to have some pull to get in.
But look at the beautiful songs that we have emerging. Like Every Day I'm Drinking, Big Dick, Give Me Your Money, and Lollipop, in which Kim Jong has this romance with a nuclear bomb and eventually ends up getting in bed. They show this all in the video with the nuclear bomb.
I'm surprised he didn't have a heart attack. Because
He already went
saw
through
that.
the interview. Not the interview, the dictator, which was the one that
the interview.
It was the interview, yeah.
Yeah.
So if he made it through that, I mean, he was pissed about that.
I know.
Well, what's a little intercourse with a nuclear warhead?
He's gotta love him.
Yeah, but again, this is all in that second phase of Little Big that's a little bit more commercial. For whatever reason, it's noticeably, maybe it's just higher production value, but their style changes, their lineup changes, and everything changes for them. Notably, not only were they selected for the Eurovision, but if you listen closely at the Borat 2 trailer, it's using a song from Little Big. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I did not.
Yeah, so
I did not, but that's big.
that's huge.
That's-
That's
yeah.
internet. That's Borat 2.
You seen that movie?
No, I haven't, but the trailer,
It's fucked.
I can't wait to see it.
It's like triple, quadruple fucked. I got teased in fucking high school by when the first Borat movie came out. I have like these unpleasant memories about it, but like, yeah, I ended up watching both of the movies, man. Psycho was fucked.
Wait, what? People made fun of you for Borat?
Yeah, they just call me Borat. And
No.
Jesus.
yeah.
Leo, it must have taken all your strength not to pop someone in the face.
Oh, believe me. But after, it's the me not wanting to get a ticket.
Yeah.
It's the money. Like literally, it wasn't even the strength. It's like I cannot afford this. I cannot punch you in the face because
I've been working too hard. I will not give up my money because
I had my lawn business since I was 12 years old, man. I had to earn my money, It's like I can't. Like literally, I just have to. I'm not about to give you $100 or whatever, and then go to court and some shit, and then get suspended again.
Like, I don't know if you have that same feeling, but if I get hot lunch, it's a treat. Like, like that money that comes out to pay for hot lunch is my money. That's the change that I've been collecting.
Well, and so to kind of tie things back, this isn't the only one that has been featured in a trailer. We're gonna be covering a future or one of our last people we're gonna be talking about. I think.
No kidding.
He was
Who?
also in the trailer. Or they had him on. I showed you the music video, the Apache one
Really?
for Letterkenny
Oh shit! Yeah.
for their
Whoa.
season trailer.
Yeah. So that's a good way to say that a lot of these artists are getting actually all of these artists are getting international recognition on the world stage, which is why we're addressing this not just as music from developing countries. This is the global music taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great example of it. Let's conclude on Little Big, because you can tell that like I enjoy them a lot, but they went through the image change, and in my opinion, they lost their Zeph roots completely. They care about money rather than about being controversial or being yourself, even if it is controversial. But the one good thing that Little Big did was they started a label, Little Big Family, that a couple of the artists we'll mention later are actually on their label.
Yes, it's a connection. Before we conclude this, I just want to mention that this is how Russia continuously takes from the West, from America, other Western countries. After the fall of the Soviet Union in the 90s, there was this huge, not much stuff got into Russia at first. And apparently there was this huge following after Nirvana or Prodigy, to the point where people would actually have gangs on the streets and well, gangs, it's band
crews,
right? People would fight over which band they like. And Ilya Prusikin.
Yeah, I couldn't really pronounce that. That doesn't sound like a very Russian name.
Ilya Prusikin. I don't know what kind of name it is.
Yeah, the head of Little Big.
Yeah, the head of Little Big.
Ilyich, basically. Ilyich.
He was Ilyich. Ilyich, yeah. He was a huge fan of Nirvana. And at one point, he just kind of wanted to find out what Prodigy was about. So he bought a CD. His friends ended up coming over, and they saw the CD at his place. And they were like, what the fuck is this doing here? And he was like, I bought it so I could burn it. And they actually went out and burned the CD because they were not,
And he didn't want to admit that he got it to potentially listen to it.
Yes.
And that...
A lot of the Little Big's tracks are based on Nirvana, but they sound like Prodigy.
Totally. That's very much their sound.
Which is what I kind of heard from their interview. And another thing that one of the members has mentioned is everything Russian is famous right now. And now you have the emergence of Little Big.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about what you meant by that, in terms of the way you put it is everything in America right now is kind of trash, but everything in Russia is popular. Could you expand a little bit? Like, what do you mean by that?
Russia's behind. Like when you like stuff from the 90s and you like the we like.
I fucks with that.
Yeah.
Does anybody here not like stuff from the
Yeah, this is no Bob's allowed.
80s,
who the hell,
90s?
Who the hell wears brand name shit?
old school?
I still pretty much listen to like 90s stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And considering that Russia's like 20, 30 years behind,
Oh yeah.
they're now just emerging with the stuff that was emerging in America in the 80s and 90s. And that's kind of like, it's a conundrum.
Okay, yeah, they're having their renaissance in a sense.
Yes, the BRICS countries and
Exactly.
many others will be like kind of emerging and taking over the world scene.
Yeah, like they're entering their golden age of music, where for the United States, that was very much kind of like what would be like 70s to 90s. Because let's be honest, rap is really big now, but there aren't that many really prolific rap artists. It all sounds very similar.
Shout out to J. Cole.
Yeah, dude. That's what I was going to say. It's J. Cole and Kendrick. And, I mean, of course, Kanye, but he's his own genre. But if it weren't for J. Cole and Kendrick, a lot of the music would sound the same. It's like, hey, I get fucked up on drugs. I might die tonight. It's like, yeah, you might die tonight. Like, that's what our generation is looking like. Like, even if you look in The Sopranos, Chrissy is a fucking drug addict. Like, that's our generation, dude. Fucking degenerate drug addicts.
Yeah.
But not here at No Bob's Allowed, motherfuckers, because we live in it right.
Here at No Bob's Loud, we do not accept the fact that drugs are
okay. So let's jump gears here. The one thing that I really love from Little Big is their collaboration with the artist Tommy Cash to produce a YouTube show called American Russians, which we actually just got finished watching a bit of. So what do you think? Do you want to talk about Tommy Cash first before we go into American Russians, or do you want to reflect a little bit on what we just saw?
Now that we're on American Russians, we have to go into it.
Hell yeah, dude. So I'll just say this on Tommy Cash. He is an Estonian artist, so his native language, I believe,
we're
is
still
Estonian.
we got to go back into Tommy Cash.
We are, right?
Yeah, of course we're going to go
Okay.
into Tommy Cash, but do you want to talk about American Russians first? It's kind of, I guess it's important to know both of their styles. It's very weird. It's like Russian Trailer Park Boys.
I would almost say we should go into Tommy Cash before we go.
I'm down with
into
that.
American Russians.
Because it's in my opinion, although a lot of the music is coming from Little Big, you kind of get a sense that Tommy Cash is driving American Russians, kind of
Yeah.
from behind the scenes, because he does a lot of the narration, and especially the comic relief. You can tell he's burning, like he's got a lot of energy coming off.
Well, do you want to so before I go into my whole spiel, do you want to go into him first, and then we'll.
Yeah, let's chat about Tommy Cash. You can tell we all got some feelings about this guy because he is unlike anything, especially anything we've talked about in this before, and unlike anything that we'll talk about from this point on. Tommy Cash is Zeth as fuck. He doesn't necessarily identify as Zeth. Especially in an interview I saw, he credits his stylistic influence to the Chilean-French filmmaker Alejandro Jodorowsky, who immigrated there from a Jewish-Ukrainian family. I imagine somewhere around the World War II. Hard to say. Kind of an Ashkenazi Jew coming from that period, kind of fleeing to South America rather than the United States for whatever reason. And he became a very prolific filmmaker, eventually moved to France. I'd love to watch his films sometime. Apparently they're very unique in their style. And Tommy Cash says that while people view him as influenced by D'Antwoord, he really says he says it's just because he uses electronic music and he has a thick accent. That's what and he's weird. Like that's what he says, that's why people associate him with it. But his influence is actually coming from Jodorowsky. So I think that'd be interesting to go into a little bit because I haven't seen any of Jodorowsky's films. But if it's in this same genre, that's some shit I need to see.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be like cult classic type movies. Like
Damn.
very like art films.
Dude, I'd be down to sit down and watch some of those.
Hell yeah, dude. We do like a watch along with No Bob's Allowed,
Yeah.
talk some shit. Nah, maybe.
Go on Twitch.
Stay tuned. Oh my god. Dude, that's what we're gonna do in between season 1 and 2. We're gonna start streaming our lives on Twitch. Jesus Christ! I started watching chess on Twitch, so anything can happen.
Dude, yeah. That's how
Man.
you learn.
Tommy Cash is a freak.
Yeah,
Just a freak. He
fucking
just
freak.
got born in 2013. His style is like rave hip hop trap, man. He's primarily
like experimental electronic rave hip hop trap.
yeah,
all of it.
primarily inspired by American culture. This guy's all about breaking the rules and pushing boundaries and unlimited free artistic expression to the max.
Well,
oh
and
god, I got a story about that.
That's what I like about Tommy Cash so much I mean, like, okay, well, first his music is like really good, and his music videos, you will not see any kind of music videos like that.
Oh my god, like in Little Molly when he's making out with
Yeah.
himself, like literally he's playing two characters in a bride and groom dress that are making out. I've never seen shit like that. And in Winalotto, when he pastes his face between a woman's legs and
Yeah.
he's singing the song from between her legs, like
am the bush.
seriously, like, and his pencil thin mustache, what a fucking freak,
Dude, and
he's the most proud freak I've ever
honestly,
seen.
like that's what draws you to him though. Is like he's just so,
Unapologetic.
Yeah, he's so himself, and it's great.
Yeah, like he's just so fucking goofy. So let's take a second. I do want to talk about his background because
Oh man, this is exciting.
I have kind of a weird, again, I have these weird experiences that connect me to these artists in a very serendipitous, like, I guess not chance type of way. So, over my travels, I found myself in Estonia. I'm sure probably because I wanted to check out kind of what was going on there, but also part of me kind of practicing Russian doing my travels. So we're going to talk about a particular district of the capital of Estonia, Tallinn, in which Tommy grew up. So Tommy grew up in the Kopli district of Tallinn, which is a poor, predominantly Russian district on the waterfront, kind of outside of town, on the outskirts. And Tommy describes Kopli as the Detroit side of town because it's dead. It was all tiny, rotting wooden houses, and there was always a bad smell on the street. This makes me think of Dostoevsky. Ugh, but this was in the 90s. There was always a bad smell on the street. I swear I could spot a junkie from a kilometer and tell you exactly what drug he was on. And, I mean, he was born in 91, so he definitely would have had a similar background to a lot of these post-Soviet kids growing up in the 90s. And this is where I have a particular connection to it. So, through my travels, for whatever reason, I end up in Tallinn. And for whatever reason, I end up hanging out with, we'll just say, some types of Russians that will be using mat. Like, will be saying bled at the end of every sentence. And even when I'm hanging with this pretty unsavory crew, this particular guy from the crew says, hey, I'm a musician, I'm a drummer, you should come hang with me in Kopli. Like, tonight we should go down to Kopli, and I'll bring you into my music studio, and we can jam together. And I was immediately like, oh shit, like I could go to this like authentic Russian part of town. And I was about to go with him when again, kind of a unsavory element type of dude that I was rolling with, like my homie, shout out to Andre. He pulls me aside and he's like, you are too again, all in Russian. You're too obviously American. Do not go there because I can't guarantee you will come back out. And ultimately, that night went fucking insane not going to Copley. And I cannot believe that guy told me not to go to Copley because I might not come back. Because the way where I stayed, I didn't know if I was going to come back. So my personal experience with Copley is even me hanging with some really rough characters wouldn't let me go there for my own safety. And let me tell you, these were some motherfuckers that were not living safely. Like, before the night was over, we're fucking firing at a can, like celebrating a guy's birthday before he goes back in. Like, pasadis. Anyways, that's my story about Copley. So meaning it's a fucking greasy place.
Well, is this just because weren't we looking into you can get a visa there, or is that?
Yeah, I looked into that a bit more. Unfortunately, it's not what I thought it was. It's digital citizenship. That is a relevant thing though, because Estonia is trying to become one of the major tech hubs of Europe, and they're very successful so far.
Yeah, because I thought they were thriving a little more now. I didn't think it was.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Not Copley.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing about Copley. It's this district literally on this weird peninsula going out into the Baltic Sea that is isolated from the rest of town, and it's very like waterfront, and it's always unsavory around the waterfront because any shipping area, like it's around the docks, and it's like anything like that, you got people trafficking shit, whether it's like women or guns or drugs.
Some sketchy stuff.
Anything that's a traditional Russian business. Let's be honest. Prostitution, guns, and drugs. Who doesn't love that shit? And the Russians know what people want.
I know I do.
We here at No Bob's Loud
do not support the fact that
drugs, prostitution, and what else? Guns are fun.
That is not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay to have fun. Thanks, the Church of the United States. Don't have fun.
We here at No Bob's Allowed do not accept the fact that fun is okay.
I like that shit. Stop it. You're making it sound like we actually do support drugs. We mostly don't. Do you want to say anything more on Tommy Cash? Because I'll talk about kind of his rise to fame.
If this is the decrepit part of town, what is the part of town where Tommy Cash is from?
We also didn't really
fucking rough, dude. Because that, like, dude, I ended up in the Spalnaya, and like, that's just not mine though. It's all good. Like, it's just where Russians hang out. But Copley sounds like drug addicts, fucking drug addicts, and just greasy motherfuckers. Like, literally, if there's a shitty smell on the street, that sounds like Petersburg in the 1800s. Like, that's rough. So Tommy Cash comes out of this and rises to prominence specifically in the Baltic dance scene, and he has a very unique style, and he becomes known in this kind of underground culture. He also becomes involved in visual arts and performance, and he's renowned to have run an art exhibition in which he exhibited a container of his own sperm and talked about all the things that could be done with it. So Tommy Cash don't give a fuck. Like, he really don't give a fuck.
And that's why we love him.
Yeah. And this brings him into 2016, where he starts to get international fame through the release of a couple of singles, and specifically collaborating with Little Big and releasing American Russians. And his videos are just very shocking. But with Little Big, he takes on a uniquely humorous element that he uses in a lot of his later music. Yeah, let's talk American Russians, because this is some shit. Like, it's weird. It's like, I would say I'd call it a meditation on brotherhood.
Yeah, I would agree.
But there's so many aspects to it. Like, it's fighting. Like, there's so many layers. Like, one of them that I really like is fighting homophobia in Russia.
That's a key one. They make multiple references
so
to that.
many people call them fags.
Yeah.
But that's still a big thing. Like, I remember I was in Riga one time, and I was hanging out with this guy all night, and I didn't know he was gay until he pulled out a pink umbrella when it started raining, and every person we passed had something belligerent to say to him in Russian. Like, who the fuck do you think you are walking around a faggot? Like, and all in Russian, so it's even more fighting words.
Right.
Like, I parted ways because I was like, if I keep hanging out with this guy, it's going to be a fight.
Right.
And like, he was a really good dude. Like, he's just like us. Like, he just wanted to be a happy guy. But in this mentality of whatever the post-Soviet homophobia is, he had to hide everything that he was.
Well, and it's so funny because early 2000s, they were like coming like it was like slightly more okay. Like there was this band that I forgot their name, but they were out of the closet lesbians or whatever, and
Pussy
they were
Riot, I think.
Russians.
Or is it a different one?
It was a different
Yeah,
one.
I don't know that.
So like it seems like they were coming like the right way ahead, and then they just took a complete 180 and went.
Well,
right
it's still
back.
illegal to be
Yeah.
gay in
But
Russia.
those are bobs. Those are just people. We mentioned that previously, that if you're unable to have a different viewpoint, if you're unable to expand your mind in this sort of way, and if not, you don't have to be aggressive to those kind of things. Just let them exist, let them be, and
Don't let it threaten you.
Yeah.
exactly. And in fact, personally for me, I love to learn as much as possible about everything. So it's like I'm curious about, all right, so what is like a homophobic relationship like? I've done a lot of research into that kind of thing, especially
Wait, did you mean a homosexual relationship? You said homophobic relationship.
oh yeah, homosexual.
Wow, that homophobia is deep in you, dog.
Yeah, fuck it. but yeah, it's like,
Yeah, and it's a conversation that's just beginning in Slavic countries now. Like, I remember, there's just so much, like, you just hear somebody call you a pidaras, like, every day.
with Tommy Cash's music, it's like, whatever, man. It's whatever. Take your head and turn it upside down and glue it to your left toe,
Push the fucking boundaries.
Push the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what people are still talking about homosexual It's like, is that really the
They're
focus?
still hung up on that.
Like, you still hung up on that, man? I'm still trying to get my fucking left ear my head try to glue to my left toe. It's just not working out quite so well, but I'm trying.
But yeah, somebody's reading through their Bible trying to figure out if homosexuality is okay. Meanwhile, Tommy Cash is pasting his face on people's nipples. Like,
Exactly. That there are really greater things to focus on. Like
Yeah.
that.
But that's a big theme in American Russians, and it's something that's kind of jarring because it illuminates this tension between brotherhood and homosexuality, where in Russia, there's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a different feeling where there's that block between brotherhood of that insecurity of like, oh, what if he's going to like try to fuck me? And I don't know, it's just, it feels very backwards, and it's something, this show helped me understand how ingrained that is into the culture.
Well, and not only do people call them faggots in American
yeah.
Russians, they call themselves, we're gay, because they don't want to get shot. They're like,
Oh my
he's my
God.
boyfriend.
But you can see how everybody reacts to that as totally unaccustomed to it.
Yeah.
Like, that is heretical to even say that. People are just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how they have definitely opened this like this door. They're trying to like get people to be like, it's not what you think it is. Like,
And it's
don't
so
be
cool.
afraid.
Like, I just want to connect this whole thing we're talking about to the LGBTQ movement in the United States. That's exactly what we're talking about. Be queer. Be weird. Like, whatever you are, it doesn't have to be put into a box. Be proud of that, because there's a lot you can give to people that they never would have thought of, perspectives that you never would have seen if you didn't identify as queer, even if you're just a straight dude. It's like, I'm fucking weird as shit. I've been told that since I was a kid. I'm so happy. I wouldn't want to be anything else.
right, and that just
Still, shouldn't even be a relative. Like, that is
But
like,
it is.
it is.
what people like do. That is the least I have to worry about. Like I said, man, my left toe, some glue. Like, are we not focusing here?
Yeah, and I love, because that's a great connection to American Russians, because I didn't really get it on that level until I came back to the US and I watched it with you, Leo, and you were like, dude, this is fucking Russian Trailer Park Boys. Like,
Yeah,
you get that
pretty
what they're
much.
doing is like literally some greasy fucking Russians doing their thing.
Where are they in? It's Brighton Beach.
It's supposed to be in Brighton Beach.
Yeah, but it's like,
It's so obviously not. Like,
Soviet
anytime
blocks.
you look in the background, it's these fucking, it's obviously Petersburg. Like, it's just, there's no Soviet blocks in New York. Like, it's so obvious.
No.
But their thing is so tongue-in-cheek that it's just like, that's an additional layer to how fucking creative it is. It's like, yeah, it's set in Brighton Beach. This is Snoop Dogg. It's like, we got a cameo from Snoop Dogg. And he's like, yeah, I am Snoop Doggy Dog. It's like, how fucking creative is that? Working with nothing and just making literally what I was talking about with D'Antwoord, making art out of nothing. Like a couple of egg cartons you can put on the walls and turn into a studio, just like what the fuck we got going on here.
Making Zeph.
Yeah, dude, we may have nothing, but we're going to make it fucking Zeph. So, Joe, do you want to talk for a second? Because today is the first time that you really saw American Russians in its totality. Is there anything as kind of a American guy with no connection to Russia that it piqued in you? Like just those themes of like, that's a pretty close meditation on brotherhood that they have.
I did actually have one thought that kind of kept reoccurring to me, and it relates to the first episode that I was a part of, with Bubba, and how he talked about being pretending to be a gangster and how that gets you in trouble. And a lot of what they do is they're trying to be hard, because they want stuff.
And it kind of has that like underlying insecurity and that overcompensation.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly which episode of American Russians it is, but they go to Alec. I'm not sure why.
Oh, the gun dealer.
Yeah, the gun dealer. I'm not sure why they go to him the first time. I kind of forgot.
The first time they try to rob him.
Yeah, well, yeah, they try to rob him, and
they come to buy guns.
Yeah, well, they have a knife when they're trying to rob him, and Alec is like, "Oh my God, I'm so scared. Let me grab my wallet," and then he just pulls out a gun, and he's like, "Now suck my dick."
Yeah.
Because he's actually hard. It's like what Bubba said. Don't pretend to be a gangster, or you'll lose fingers.
Or you're gonna end up sucking this dude's dick.
That. Yeah. And I think you kind of see them change throughout that. Like they don't try to pretend to be hard anymore. They just get a little bit more clever. The last episode really showed that.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's cool to see from another perspective that you focused on their growth. It's really cool to see. Because I hadn't really meditated on that by the end of it, they weren't trying to be hard. If anything, that's when they pretend to be gay. Because it's because then they found their pride in whatever it is.
Well, and that's when they really started to need to be creative also, like to create the nothing from something. Because I think it was after they tried to rob the gun dealer that they... No, never mind. That was the first episode. No, I take it back.
Yeah, after that they get beat up on the street. And again, just all of these themes of homophobia, that's like, it's a really big theme.
Yeah.
And that's something that Tommy Cash is breaking through. It's like, what the hell is Tommy Cash's sexuality? If he's that freaky on stage, what is he doing behind closed doors?
He is a panda.
Can't we all be pandas, Leo? Let's all be pandas, dude.
And
You gotta achieve Tommy Cash status to be a panda, man.
so to go back, I remember you were saying how you can't have long hair in Russia because
Oh
they
my
will,
God.
like
Oh yeah.
hate you for that.
Yeah.
Did you guys see how the lead singer of Little Big has long hair now? I wonder how that's.
Oh, interesting.
Wonder how that's going, especially with how big they've been getting. I wonder if like that's kind of like a.
Whoa, kind of taking the stereotypes down. That's cool, because really, like, man, I went through a whole kind of internal struggle with that. That the first time I went to Russia, I had long hair, like past my shoulders, and multiple people told me, put that shit up on the street or you're going to be beaten up for being a fag.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to rob you because they think you're soft. And then I went through this whole insecurity phase of, okay, I'm not going to go back to Russia unless I have short hair. And now I got my hair long again because it's like,
That's just you.
yeah, it's me. And if you got a problem with it, we can talk about it, or we can have a problem. Like,
Right.
I'm down, but I'm not going to change who I am because it makes you uncomfortable. If anything, I would love to help you get comfortable by it.
Yeah.
Even if I need to lose a little bit of blood.
Right.
But that's the thing about Russians. They will knock you up a little bit. But then you can hug afterwards. Like, my most loving mosh pit was in Russia because they go hard. But if you fall down, they pick you up immediately because they want to hit you again. Like, it's so loving. Like, it's this embrace of caring about each other because you want to have fun and you want it to be the most intense experience it can be.
Sounds like a Kill Switch concert.
It was. But I'm telling you, dude, this was even more. But I was noticeably more loving. It was very weird.
Well, I don't know, because did you get knocked down at Kill Switch and the dude help you back up?
Personally, I did not get knocked down, but
You're a big motherfucker. Even at, what, 15?
I don't. Was it 15?
Something like that.
Something like that. But I witnessed dudes that were taller than me, and I was really tall when I was young. Like I was 6 foot in 6th grade or something, so I only grew 3 more inches throughout high school. It was really weird. But at the concert, there were these 2 huge dudes. They were jacked. They were taller than me, so they were at least taller than 6 foot, and they must have weighed at least 220, 230, 240, if not more. One of them got knocked down, and out of nowhere, this other massive dude just comes and picks them back up so that they can start moshing again. And they were huge. Like I don't know if it was the fact that I noticed them because they were huge or because the guy got knocked down, but then they just started moshing again. But it's kind of like that. Oh, you just want to have fun, but now you're on the ground.
That's not fun for anybody.
No, you don't want to get trampled. Someone help you.
Exactly. We don't want to have to stop this mosh pit because somebody has to get carted off. Get back up so we can keep having a fun time.
Yeah.
Leo, any good mosh stories? I bet you got one.
Oh. You know, as Joe was telling his story, I was thinking about interjecting, and but then I figured, see what happens. So I guess I have to go into this. I was at a Lamb of God concert, and they had a circle pit going, and I got hit by this. Back then, I don't know, man. I was like 17. I was probably like 140 pounds. I got ran into by like this dude that was like 300 pounds or more. It was a big boy, man. I mean, he knocked me like 7-8 feet back. I flew, and my glasses got dropped on the floor, and one of the lenses fell out. I ended up picking up my glasses real quick, and once again, that's like the thing. The fucking glasses are expensive. You don't get like vision insurance, shit like that. I'm like, that's $200 on the floor, So I'm grabbing like my glasses, got one lens in, and in this whole fucking chaos of the situation, people fucking running everywhere, I see the lens, and then I grab the lens, and I inserted back into my. It was the right lens. I inserted back into my glasses. I put my glasses back on, and I continue moshing.
Leo, when you started telling the story and you were talking about how you got knocked around and then you lost your glasses, and the lens came out?
I got picked up right away too, and that's when I was like, I was getting picked up, and I'm already seeing my glasses, like going for them.
Well, the energy while you're telling that, it made it feel like a really heartfelt story. Like, my glasses, like that's how important they were to you. Like listening to you say that. Well, you can't see, but also because of the things that like what you. Just how you were characterized.
That's his lawn mowing money.
Legit. And
yeah, man.
I don't know why. It's just like I almost wanted to tear up. I was like, oh my God, Leo's super serious about losing his glasses.
Because he's not going to get another pair.
No,
like
he's
going to have to put, it's not free. He's going to have to put effort into getting another pair.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's like another 20 hours, work or whatever.
Because that's how he sees it. Literally, that's his life that he's going to give up to get those back.
That's exactly. I don't want to lose more hours out of my life.
Yeah,
it's painful as the way it is. It's
Which is why people shouldn't give people that like metal such a hard time. Because even though we'll knock you on your ass, we'll help you get back up and help you fix your glasses.
And I can still recover my fucking lens. I still had those glasses for another couple of years before I had switched.
Damn, that's a great link. That's some Zeph shit where it's like we are all here because we have some anger issues that we need to get resolved, and we're gonna do this for each other to literally beat each other up so that we can be at peace. Mm-hmm. But we're all in it together. Mm-hmm. We're not like we don't put people down. Like we're fucking metalheads. We're all outsiders here.
Yeah.
This might be just because I like metal, but you will not find any other genre out there that like at least in America where like they'll do that for you. Like you go to a concert and someone else will pick you back up if like you get knocked down
or punch you or not punch you or like ram their whole weight into you. It's funny that it all, and that's exactly, I think that's a good conclusion on this Zeph stuff because we have a couple other artists to cover. That is what Zeph is. We got problems. We're going to work them out together because we care about each other because we've all been through it.
And that is a good place to end the episode. Remember, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can also find us on Spotify.
Yo, Bob's allowed, motherfucker! Keep it Zeph!
Oh shit, we got a show.
Sound speeds!